did I break?
Hello, everyone. Oh, we're just quieter when we go live. That's okay. I'll just get closer. Hello, Lissa. Hello, Kelly. Hello, everybody. Who's joining us. This is the first time we've been back for a while. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody who's already so a couple already comments in there. Thank you, guys. Two Geek Girls, we're here. Happy Thursday.
Yes.
I hope everyone's having an okay week. It's not always easy to get this in, either for the lovely ladies who are joining me or for you guys. So thank you guys again, sincerely. Thank you so much. We have about 45 minutes tonight where we can talk, and it's been a while, and I know like the three things I kind of wanted to touch on, and I feel like I'm kind of backtracking myself, trying to make sure. No, it's not just me wanting to gossip or talk. Like, I feel like it's relevant, but I'm sure you ladies have stuff to talk about too. But we already started. Britney Spears is back in the news. We'll see if any of you guys are interested in hearing our opinions on that, but we're definitely going to give them. Loki, I know not everyone's had a chance to catch up or see, but we could probably stick to more of the conversation of really the relevance of Loki and the MCU going forward, and how the MCU is so important to focus on because it's really goals for what anybody else trying to create this content should be looking at. And then I guess we had some, Zack Snyder got a few extra brownie points from me this week, thanks to that man and Catwoman making hitter.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh.
Yeah, there has been an ongoing thing. Oh, is she frozen?
She's frozen.
No.
I think that's me. Hold on. There we go. I'm back.
There we go.
Hi.
We're like,
okay.
oh, wait.
No, that's been an
I mean, at least
ongoing
it froze on you at like a very nice pose. For me,
Yeah.
it's usually like me making a face like.
It's going to be something.
Yeah. But yeah, Twitter went wild with that whole situation, which I find dumb to begin with, because I think, when you know your audience is an adult, you can have a joke. Like, calm down. Like, we're all...
It's based on a Harley Quinn cartoon. That's not a kid's cartoon. Like,
no, and that's my whole thing. You can't argue. Like, my issue was, like, you cannot argue with but we can't sell children's toys if we have him, like, eat someone out. And it's like, but why are the children watching this? Like, who would be watching this and then go, I'm so offended? Like, it was going to clearly be a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
again,
calm down.
Right.
It's such a flimsy excuse. And then I had somebody sit there and legitimately go, like, they were just upset in general. They're like, no, like, your superheroes have to be like this. And I'm like, okay, but
since when?
Those characters can, like, be up on that pedestal and be like those shining beacons of light and also have a sex life. Like, I don't understand what the is can they not be pious and have a monogamous long-term relationship? I don't understand.
The thing about that like rubs me the wrong way is that, like, in the comics and everything, like, Selena and Batman, like, they were just fucking pregnant. It's like, clearly something is going on. There has to be a sexual relationship going on for that to occur.
Not only that, like, back in, we had Earth 2 back in the Silver Age, I believe, and, that created Helena Wayne, that created the first Huntress. How do you think babies are born? Like, it's okay.
See when a mommy loves a daddy.
So the question becomes now, it's so funny, like, no, he can't do that. I'm like, okay, but So I understand where the frustration, even on Snyder's part, came from, because it's the Harley Quinn cartoon. Y'all talk about everything on that show, and you have no problem with any of the characters on that show being on what's clearly an adult show. Cursing, like a sailor, making insinuations, clearly having relationships. And you have no problem selling their toys, doing that. It's a successful show.
Yeah.
And so it's really just this one act from this one guy that's on this other person that's
specifically what he's doing for her.
Yeah. That you guys have a problem with. Don't tell me you can't sell toys in an adult show. You can.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, if the joke was on like the other way around, it probably would have been greenlit, no problem, because that's WB in a nutshell.
And they've taken artwork down off of DeviantArt that was tagged with this for copyright. Like, they don't want this artwork. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have no problem with any of the other artwork.
Well, they had no problem with Bruce Timm adding in his own fan fiction into The Killing Joke. So
yeah.
And I never heard fans complain about that.
I mean, yeah,
well,
but not for that
a lot of
reason.
us did, but you know what I mean. Like,
but not for that reason. Yeah. Not for that reason. Yeah. So I mean, it was just hilarious. A lot of people got brownie points for me from basically stating facts and logic.
Yeah.
And
he has handlebars. Like Trevor Noah said it best. He has handlebars.
How does how's Catwoman hold her liquor by his pointy ears? Like this, it's just an old joke, and it's like, well, yeah, it's Batman. We've never doubted that he was. There are many words you can use to describe Batman, and he has many flaws, but one of them is not selfishness. So
no,
damn fucking straight, like
duh. Anyway, I found it. I just find this so funny. Yeah, no, that's Stephen Wright. Yeah, I can see that.
I like the fact. The only thing that I'm super enjoyable about this is the fact that it's gone on for a week and it has become the water cooler talk, and it's so childish because it's such middle schoolers on a bus asking stupid questions, but that's what our world is coming to. So it's yes, we're healing.
Exactly. Compared to the year we had before, I want to laugh about stupid shit.
At this point, it's even become a TikTok meme. There is a creator that I found, which makes videos, at least that I've come across, that is all about superheroes they think would be good partners to their female counterpart.
To be diplomatic. And we could definitely say most of them, starting with Green Arrow and just
and another one, his entire thing is making Batman skits, and it's fucking hilarious because for Father's Day he did one of what the Robins got Bruce for Father's Day. Jason got Batman a spare tire and stole both of his tires off the Batmobile.
Stole two.
She's like, God damn it, now it makes sense. But anyways, he did one of Superman talking to Lois about this, being like, did you see that article about how Bruce is not a loving partner to Selena or something like that? And she goes, oh, I know it's fake. And then it takes him a second and he goes, wait a minute, I left something at Bruce's house.
I gotta go out. Yeah, we were on a break. It's because who would slide into the DMs if he could right there.
Well, there was one point in time that when Bruce found out that Superman was Clark Kent, that he bought up the farm, he bought up the apartment building that
he tried to buy the Daily Planet at that. He tried at that point.
Yep.
I don't think he could succeed quite yet. It wasn't until later.
It always depends on what iteration that they're doing, because in Snyderverse, he bought the bank that took away the house. In the cartoon, I believe he bought the Daily Planet. Yeah, in the cartoon, he bought the Daily Planet. It really just depends on where they're going. But essentially, it's just Bruce shoves money Bruce's answer
It's a
is
flex.
a bunch of money.
It's a
Yeah,
flex.
Bruce's answer is a lot of money. It's like literally here. I can throw money at you and make the problems go away.
Yeah. I do love the line in Final Frontier where he's confronting Martian Manhunter, and then I know what you are, I know who you are, and he basically goes, "I've got a $75,000." Now, bear in mind, this is supposed to be like 1940s. This would have taken place. So he's like, "I got a $75,000 chunk of green rock for the one in Metropolis, but all I need is 2 cents for a book of matches to take you down."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yay, mean." Like that. Yeah. So
It is how he is, but yeah, no, it's been a
lots of
great
flaws.
meme. Yeah.
But selfishness, not one of them.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're gonna give him that one. Yep.
Yep.
I have seen all of the Loki, and it's
have
interesting. So I'm gonna be careful with everything. Other than a lot of obviously what if you're on Facebook, if you're on social media, you're seeing a lot of pictures, you're getting a lot of spoilers, so to speak. But honestly, the first 3 episodes are clearly just kind of like the prologue.
Yes.
They're the setup of what the MCU is doing with the Timekeepers.
Yes.
And doing with their setup of the multiverse, their introduction of spoiler Lady Loki. Of it's
well,
it's
not a
debatable
spoiler
whether
now,
this
but-
is Lady Loki or not.
Yeah, because Sylvie is obviously the Enchantress. She is in the Young Avengers. So, and she was created by Loki. So, from what I understand, right now everything is still set up where what happened in the comics could happen as well in the TV series. That much I do know.
Yeah. It can. We know the story she's telling, and in episode 3, she kind of gets to speak, but at the same time, you have no idea what anything is or isn't until the end. Yes. One of
the things that I love is that they just casually dropped that Loki is canonically bisexual.
Yes, it's right.
And that's how it should be. They didn't make a huge deal about it. It just it naturally progressed into the conversation, and that was it. It's just a part of who he is.
It's Loki.
Well, even in the marketing, I think that they wrote under gender they wrote fluid. Yeah. Which all of this is a nod to the comic books. The character
and the mythology
is bisexual and gender fluid, and Norse mythology became a horse, got pregnant by said horse, and birthed a horse.
It's
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but yes, basically.
That hasn't come up yet. Biography. But if you know the mythology, then you're like, this is so weirdly meta. And there's a lot of people right now, because of what happened in episode 3, they're making some Homelander references if everybody is caught up on The Boys. And we're like, no, don't go there. Not quite that far. We're good with just the little bit of play between you guys right here. But and they finally had a conversation, and it's interesting what we keep hearing coming up when you know what movies are coming up next.
Yeah.
And so as you watch, the plot, obviously the plot that's going, I'd say like the plot, Sylvie's plot, what Sylvie is specifically doing, and what her plan is, the setup of the Timekeepers not being good people, that it's somebody like Loki questioning them. Right now, the theme running along when you see all the movies and you see, a multiverse of madness and you see all of it. It's true. It's true.
It's not wrong.
Never selfish. Hedonistic as he
also,
is.
and it wasn't bestiality because he did become a horse.
He was a horse.
He was not. He was not doing it in a humanoid
species
form.
Species fluid, I guess would be the term.
But yeah.
Is there a way for us to clip bits of YouTube, not just on Twitch?
Yeah.
Have they done this yet?
Yeah, they have actually.
But
I've seen it on some mobile updates that you can now clip some videos. I don't know if it's a feature that you have to have a certain amount of people or what, but I've seen it.
All right, I'm clipping that part. If I can get to species fluid. Yes, it's not bestiality because he was a horse.
It wasn't bestiality. That's correct. It was entirely passable, as we put it.
Oh my gosh.
But as you go through, so it's affecting timelines that go back far enough to create multiverses that we see are definitely coming in the next and season.
Oh
And
yeah.
Loki
Oh,
being
yeah.
the one show getting season 2. This is a lot of information that they're giving us in a short amount of time. They are moving really quickly through the series, but it is also the realization as you go through each episode, this is a lot of information you guys are giving us. This
Yeah.
is a lot of rewriting. I don't want to say rewriting, but it is the show being used to set up why everything is going to make sense.
Well, I
Mhm.
mean, but the thing is
Yeah.
too, he was the main, like in the movie, his scene and how
Mhm.
this entire
The
series is coming to
thread.
be
Yeah.
literally is because of the multiverse, and it's because of what he did and his actions. So
Yep.
I kind of understand why the show would be like that. I think that that's a very straightforward
Mhm.
situation for the show, and actually, I mean, beyond, yeah, we've seen a little bit of that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that this is kind of bridging that WandaVision
Mhm.
and Falcon and the Winter Soldier together. It's clearly all of its own, but like I know, like I've heard friends, because of the MCU ATL are also reviewing it, and I know that they were kind of disappointed in this third episode, but at the same time, like I don't know what's going on. It's probably just because it's probably a more less actiony episode, because these guys really love the action. I personally like more story, so I might
This
enjoy
is story.
this
Same.
more once I actually
This episode, yeah.
get time
Yeah.
to watch it. Yeah.
That's why
And
I
it's
preferred
excellent
WandaVision
performance.
over Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I felt like they treated the story better.
Yeah. Well,
Episode, yeah.
yeah. No,
Episodes like this also lend, like, we're seeing how hard both of these actors have worked to show the parallels between the two characters. There are performances on both of them. Like, they're kind of, you can see the actors are picking up each other's like mannerisms, and they're picking up, and you get an opportunity from, they're talking to themselves when they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
You see that, and you also see, so they're setting it up, whether it's the truth or not, that she is a variant that didn't have Frege, basically.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And this is what happened. She became, had to teach herself. She always knew her past. This iteration of Loki that didn't have the family memories, especially tied to having a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And this is creating, and so they have us talk about love. And I'm like, sounds so much like a setup for the next Thor movie, right away. Like when the conversations that they're having, I'm like, okay, that's Thor, that's Love and Thunder, and I just love that name so much. And it's that's what this episode really was. So episode 3 was really like that. It was really this opportunity to, even while we suspect, like, we still don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
For various reasons. At the same time, you kind of really want to, because that would make that would give a certain meaning to the conversations that these two have had together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, in the comics, where she winds up actually being created, maybe she was created by her Loki, and maybe this can become this Loki's like family in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
And because then it would also set up the Young Avengers, which they are clearly setting up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
we'll see what they do. Obviously, we can't decide. And 2, she could still wind up being Lady Loki.
Yes.
Maybe managing to make it to the main world while the rest of the Young Avengers, and be that Lady Loki for the Young Avengers. So it's because also Lady Loki was in Young Avengers. So even though she's the Enchantress for Young Avengers, it could be her as Lady Loki. I'm of course just spitballing. I have not watched the show yet. I do understand everybody believing that because of the way they've set it up with the variants and stuff like that. And I think that that's what they're making you want to believe. And that's the only thing, is I'm just knowing Marvel, this early in the game is a misdirection.
Yeah.
Like they've kind of got their formula down pat. So like, I'm not sold just from listening to it, but obviously we will see what happens. It could just wind up being straightforward because it was never meant to be the big twist at the end. I heard theories
beyond
that
the timekeep.
yeah, because I mean I've heard the theories, and I've heard the theories way back before when WandaVision was even being filmed, that they knew that they were putting Mephisto in something. And so this would make the most sense out of the 3 TV series.
Yep.
For Mephisto.
And that's been brought up a couple.
The big bad. He would be the big bad reveal for Doctor Strange, which would make sense for Doctor Strange. Not to mention, would also make sense if they're doing something with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, especially because it's very clear that Sony seems to be setting up that the Raimi trilogy is the definitive Sony-verse Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yep.
So what are they doing? Like, you know what? Like, all of it makes more sense that Mephisto would be there, a deal would be made, and then Doctor Strange would have to clean it up, while that also gives Tom Holland an out of the MCU for him to grow up and do what he wants to do, because let's be fair here, he has spent his late teens and majority of his 20s, because I think he's almost mid 20s now, isn't he?
I
like
want to say he's only a couple years younger than me.
Tom Holland,
yeah, well, I think he was born 96.
Yeah.
About to find out.
He's
June 1st, 96, so he's 25.
13 years younger than me.
Yeah, so he just turned 25, and he's been Spider-Man since he was 18?
Yep.
17, 18? I think that's when he first got hired. Yeah, well, no, and he's an amazing actor, but I think he's, you know,
he deserves to be able to move on with his career if that's what he wants to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so
he'd be great on Broadway.
And so, you know, again, that's kind of, I think that's probably where they're, like, I've stated that since WandaVision, so I still think that that's where they're going. I still think that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's certainly, it would be an out for several of the actors, and that's totally fine, because when you're getting up to 10 years or more that somebody is, you know, and it won't be that long till that's how long he's been doing this. That's completely understandable, especially with Young Avengers coming up and everything else. As much as it feels like a wonderful, like, torch passing from RDJ to somebody like Tom Holland, just because he's stellar in every way, but who knows? It was interesting to get confirmation. I found when they released a lot of what WandaVision had to change at the last minute, and things that were taken out of WandaVision, partly because of COVID and restrictions and various reasons. One was that they did confirm that it was Doctor Strange sending her the commercials during the show, and so getting to see the dissection of that. Of, you know, what it means for him to even tell her, like, Nexus being like this and this. So we know everything that he was aware of when it was happening. And we know that he is aware of probably what's going to happen next. Especially if he's soaked in a lot of probably the time stone and everything else. Yeah. So leading into that, now watching Loki, as somebody started singing, like, it was Loki all along, and I'm like, God damn it, now I'm gonna have that in my head forever, because now it's like, okay, so Agatha did this, and that was just about Scarlet Witch, to create, you know, Loki show. The overall theme is that it's a setup for Loki and Lady Loki, whatever that's going to be, but it's really about the Timekeepers, about understanding what the Timekeepers are and what they've been doing or holding back, like what their agenda is. And this idea that you have an entire underground pocket dimension of, spoiler, variants that exist and have no idea.
Well, one thing that I've been seeing is that the time. Fuck it. What's the fucking time people called?
The organization?
The organization. I can't think of the name right now.
Oh, TVA.
TVA. So one thing that I have been seeing is people speculating that the TVA is actually the quantum realm.
It depends if the timekeeper is there, and part of it is that in the comics it's very, very different. How they display what the TVA is and the beings that are down there. So it's, you know, I know some people don't really like the mod feeling of where the TVA is and how that feels. But when you think about them being variants and being people pulled out of their time
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're putting them in a place with the beginning, the infancy of analog, like that, how things work, how offices were run, how data was stored, things like that, and something they can viscerally touch and understand no matter what time they were pulled out of. It's kind of a very muted version. It's not crazy technology like something that Tony Stark would have. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And I mean, it's an aesthetic choice, and the thing is that that's some of the differences between comics and TV that are gonna happen, because just because like, TVA and the comics should definitely be like up to speed and have all these things because they can go through all this time, isn't necessarily aesthetically pleasing for the show.
Certainly a lot very expensive. It certainly would have been very expensive for that. So I'm not faulting the choice by any means, but I know for some people it feels kind of overplayed, like overdone a little bit.
Well, I enjoyed it in WandaVision. I think we all enjoy it. I think it's because it is actually because Maude is kind of coming back in fashion thanks to WandaVision. So I actually think ultimately it's, like I said, it was an aesthetic choice, but I think it was a good aesthetic choice in the sense of it's pleasing. People want to kind of copy it in their fashion and their architecture. Yep. And it's just kind of in the moment situation. And plus, I mean, look at the Umbrella Academy. Where they're very similar to the TVA.
Or than John Wick.
Yeah, and John Wick, everything it's a futuristic retro situation. And that's exactly what they're doing, because that's just, at this point, that is just a time trope. It's just a TV trope that a time group has to be slightly outdated. Somehow.
Yeah.
So,
which I know.
50 years, they'll all be 90s.
Which I know at least most public institutions are. Very out of date. So that's okay.
Yeah.
That's government offices. Yeah.
Exactly. It is a government office, basically. It's just a celestial ran government office.
Yeah.
And that
for the sacred timeline.
Yeah, that too. The anticipation of the Eternals movie coming out with how the MCU is going to handle the celestial creationism and births and descendants and everything else, and that we've at least gotten to see that in things like Guardians of the Galaxy. We've gotten to see what becomes of a celestial.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
And also, what is it? Thor Ragnarok had the Grandmaster. He is a celestial.
Yes, as Thanos is a descendant of. Part of
his I'm trying to think of who his mother is, because she's going to be a character
in the Eternals.
But I don't think in this situation for the MCU, I don't think that's what's going to happen, because it's very clear that the Eternals are just going to kind of wake up, so to speak, in their movie. So like they've kind of been laying dormant in this world, but now that things are wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, they're being woken up.
Theme of Loki, by the way. Theme of Loki, definitely a Doctor Who theme. They even used the theremin in the theme music for this last episode.
They did.
And I'm like, hello, we know what that is. And the Rick and Morty tie-ins. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are definitely pilfering all of Rick and Morty's writers at this point.
Oh yeah.
So I was
just having fun. Yeah.
Well, and Rick and Morty is especially known for like their tie-ins to like other series and whatnot. So, like, they make a bunch of Futurama jokes. They've done Battlestar Galactica jokes. Like, they straight up had Six and Baltar basically voice their characters in Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not the least bit surprised, because if anyone could come up with a good time variant storyline and just kind of bang it out in 30 minutes, that would definitely be the Rick and Morty team.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Right. And also this theme of like the Loki versus Loki, just like the Rick versus Rick. It's like, but I'm the Rickiness Rick that ever ricked. Like, and I'm like,
no, you're not wrong. That's exactly what
I'm the Loki
was doing in the second episode.
Right? Like, no, I'm Loki. I'm the Loki.
I'm the better Loki, right?
Right. You're just a light version of me. yeah, that theme of it. So I guess I could see why that works, and it's just excellent pop culture.
Yeah, it
Popping
is.
in there.
It's oh my gosh, like it's great.
But
I
don't turn
started laughing,
Loki
but
into a pickle. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, please
I'm
don't turn
not
Loki
ready for
into a
pickle
pickle.
I don't think that they're gonna do that. I think we're safe. I think we're.
But what if that's a variant we come across?
I mean,
pickle
it
Loki.
can be, but we will only see it in fan fiction, I believe.
That's true. That's true. I think
It
I
is
just,
the
I just
Veggie
burst the
Tales
teachers.
of the MCU.
Yeah,
that's
there
gonna
might
be
be a
fun.
VeggieTale universe of the MCU.
Oh God.
I mean, it's Marvel. There is a multiverse of
dark side.
everything. How do y'all think that like
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham happened? Like
Spider-Ham.
literally, it was in a comic called like What the, and where that was kind of about just any kind of crazy idea that they had that made them laugh, and they would create a comic out of it.
Right. Just
Well,
do it. We'll figure it out
Also,
later.
like, wait, what year did Spider-Ham come out?
80s. I can't remember the exact
Okay.
year.
Spider Pig. Spider
Yeah,
Pig.
does
Whatever a
Spider
Spider
Pig
Pig
does.
does.
That
He
was
still
correct.
swings around The Simpsons years later. You still see Spider Pig swinging around on rooftops in the background of various episodes. And I'm like, awesome. Don't forget that. Okay, so we'll pop in for because this story for me has been, as we've talked about before, obviously it affects us as somebody that we grew up watching and seeing from day one, from the Mickey Mouse Club on. Jesus world. But also so reminiscent for me of what's happened to various women in Hollywood. What's
and not
been
even
done
in
to them.
Hollywood.
Not even only in Hollywood, but reminiscent in how media portrayals, because somebody's viewed as from a PR level, how an entertainer is portrayed in media, I think is what's reminiscent for me. But obviously this isn't the only place that this happens by any means. And it doesn't only happen to women by any means. What's really striking me is how far we haven't come, how much things haven't changed.
Well,
in particular for Britney Spears is who we're talking about.
Yes and no. So this is the situation, is that she was quote unquote out of control, and like we could go into like, well, maybe it was an underlying mental illness that presented itself, maybe it was postpartum depression, maybe it was drug use. We have no clue, and ultimately I don't think her team does either at this point. What happened is a woman named Lou Taylor, who runs TriStar Media, came in, infiltrated the Spears, convinced her alcoholic father, who Britney had just picked up from rehab too, by the way, convinced her father that the only way to save his daughter was to put her under a conservatorship she crafted, and has gone on record onto like a top biller, like, I'm going to talk about this quote unquote hybrid model of basically how to control an unruly, aka an adult who no longer wants to keep their business, a celebrity who no longer wants to keep the business that they have running. How do you force them into this? And essentially what he did is he and her team, Larry Rudolph, who honestly, Larry Rudolph deserves to be in jail, not just for what he's done to her, but there were also apparently some things that like Miley Cyrus's team isn't talking about when she had Larry. So think about that. But the whole thing is that they forced her into rehab, and this is the rehab that she went to, I think, in the Caribbean, where when they tested her, they didn't even understand why she was there and let her out 24 hours later. We were told by the media that it's because she left on her own. Like, she said she wanted out.
Like, signed herself out,
She did a drug test and nothing came up. They did not know why she was sent there, so they let her go.
Yeah.
But all of these different things that they were doing were to build a case to go ahead and get this conservatorship. This conservatorship, she never had an evaluation to even be put in this kind of conservatorship. And this kind of conservatorship is not made for someone who is still functioning. This is
Yes.
for stuff on somebody who is made because they
Alzheimer's.
are, for
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, or somebody's sick and dying and that they can't walk or move. And then they use this to trap her into working for them, using her money to supply their own paychecks. And this is stuff her own family did to her.
Yep.
And they kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And eventually when she got tired, and apparently according to her story yesterday, what started this whole situation, like, because she hated it and tried to get out of it, but whenever she tried to, they made it worse for her. So she was just going to shut her mouth and do her work and chill. But when she reached like her, just at her rope, while she was choreographing 16 dancers for an entire 2.5 hour show.
Yeah.
For Las Vegas. She was doing that on her own. But she needs a conservatorship, guys. Totally.
Right.
So anyway, she's doing that, and she didn't like a dance move that the management said she needed to do. And I don't know if that was because she was overworked or if because maybe she just didn't feel like it worked. But she said no. They send all of her dancers into a room. Basically, from what I understood, make them sign basically their lives. Came back to her and was like, okay, well, if that's the case, then don't worry about it. And she was like, oh, whoa, like, hold on, this doesn't feel right. Well, then they were like, well, if you don't want to do a show, that's fine. And then they put her on lithium, aka going to force her into a mental incognizance to kill her. That's what they were going to do. And then they were going to say it was because of her dementia that she does not have.
Not cooperating. You are losing it. You're not cooperating. You're not holding. Like, they kept using those words with her. Yeah.
Forcing her into a 1-star rehab that has left her with claustrophobia.
Mm-hmm.
She had a therapist who died that was straight up abusing her, according to her. So God knows what kind of mental tactics he was using or what was going on there. To the point that when he died, she got down on her knees and thanked God. Mm-hmm. And then the big kicker that everyone's flipping out about, even though to me, literally, you just have her on record stating they forced me on lithium after I said no.
Mm-hmm. 5 years of medication changed one day and trapped in that place with round-the-clock people forcing her to take it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Basically, what happened was a form of legal gaslighting.
Oh, yeah. Well, and see, here's the thing. All of this is legal, including them forcing her to have an IUD, which from what it sounds like, I think that they did that because she wanted to marry Sam or wanted to have a baby with Sam, her current boyfriend, that honestly at this point has been around longer than most guys and has stuck by her side, and even had a photo of himself with a hand-painted Free Britney shirt that it looks like maybe he wore to sit next to her while she did this, since it was all virtual court. But the whole thing is they don't want her getting married to him. You know, even though like they wanted her to get married to Jason who abused her.
Yeah,
like, there's records on that. They wanted him to do it, but no, they don't want him. They don't want her marrying Sam. They don't want her having a baby with Sam. So they're forcing her to have an IUD.
Yep.
She had and even though this is legal, they basically this is a disability rights issue, because the thing is that while Britney should not be under this by any means, I don't think she is disabled. You know, regardless of what's going on with her mental health, she is clearly not.
Exactly.
She's not disabled. She does not deserve this. But there are people in these conservatorships who are disabled that are getting treated the same way, and they should have rights too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is worse than a prison. This is.
Yeah,
it is.
I get trying to protect people who don't necessarily have the mental faculties to be
preyed upon. But
at the same time, these conservatorships are way more often than not the reason why people are getting preyed upon.
They're right for it. They're right for abuse. And that's why that movie, I Care a Lot, is so terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's terrifying.
The thing is too, Britney was preyed on by Lou Taylor. Her family was tricked into this by Lou Taylor. Lou Taylor, who runs a financial like a financial investor firm that does this. She helped create Justin Bieber's church. She's connected to the Kardashians. She's connected because this is what she does. She's like a vulture, and she waits for the right moment. She tried doing it with Lindsay Lohan, and you can't tell me that's one of the reasons why Lindsay Lohan isn't, living in Dubai. Like the only reason her dad, the only reason she's not under Lou Taylor is because her dad went on television begging Lindsay to listen to him. Yeah. And luckily, because they were keeping him from talking to her. She tried doing it with Courtney Love. Then she tried doing it with Frances Bean Cobain. To the point that Courtney Love has stated she will not move back to America until Lou Taylor is in jail.
Or dead.
Wow.
She does not feel safe. And, these are women that, yes, have mental issues. These are women that have had a
break of some kind, diagnosed with something.
Purely predatory behavior.
Right. Exactly. And it's so clear. But if you speak about it, if you talk about it, oh no, like she's so quick to try and like jump on people and cease and desist orders and all this other stuff. But the issue at hand is that there is a clear pattern of predatory behavior because she's waiting for the right moment to steal their money. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Britney Spears in 2007 sent a letter to her lawyers, this is before all of this happened, calling Lou Taylor a stalker.
Wow.
Because she was stalking her and she was sending her like this pink cowboy hat. And didn't understand how it was like her cleaning staff let Lou Taylor into her house to deliver this hat. It freaked her out.
I don't blame her.
That would do it.
Yeah.
The idea that it just takes, a shift, one in the public eye of everyone, like, believing the worst of something.
Exactly.
Without having all of the facts about it. Like, again, it's not like we know what happened to Britney then. We don't know what was happening to her inside of her house as she just had 2 kids, again, right back to back. She had been run through the ringer. She'd been followed around by paparazzi. She didn't have a life of her own.
Her ex-husband sucks. Like, her ex-husband treated her like crap. After forcing her to give away her dog, her little itty-bitty chihuahua that everyone loved, she was forced to give it away because the dog kept peeing in Kevin's shoes, which, honestly, maybe the dog was trying to tell us
something. Tell you something. But it's so, like, a lot of people... Fortunately, for most people, it's not in the public eye when we have a cascade of things happen to us that we do not understand how to deal with. Whether there is an underlying mental or emotional or psychological problem that we're having on top of it. But I've had situations in my life where things were so bad. I know I was acting erratic. I know I was completely out of it. I know that those were not my best days. But there wasn't anybody there to, one, videotape it and paint the worst possible picture of me without anyone having all of the facts.
Exactly.
And 2, and I didn't have anything for anyone to prey upon. But it to this point, it doesn't take that much. I can only imagine, but even just a sliver of what it must have been like for her at that point in her life, just from what we were seeing every single day. And then we're surprised that she was erratic and if she needed a chance to get away from all of that and a few days to rest, okay.
Oh yeah.
But boy, they were ready to swoop right in there. They were ready to, yep.
Oh yeah. Well, and here's my thing is like, and I'll try to be real quick with this, but like recently, I had somebody feel like, they needed to make my decisions about me, like my decisions on who I hung out with and where I stayed and what I did. And they tried to force that on me. And their reasoning for that was, well, you acted this way and you were you had this traumatic experience like this. And so you're just not acting rational. You just don't understand. You're traumatized. Mm. No.
No. That's not their place to make that
That's
call.
not their place. That's gaslighting. Yeah. That is inappropriate behavior.
And honestly, listening to Britney's stories, it kept bringing me back to that conversation because I was able to walk away, yeah, because this guy didn't have anything over me.
Right.
But if that was like my dad or my mom, you know, or stuff like that, like what happened with her,
Someone who's
Very
basically in a
quick.
position
And
of
it's
power
so
over you.
easy. It's so easy to start making somebody doubt everything about themselves. When you've gotten in there and you are friends and family and they have an agenda and they get in there, like it is
Exactly.
so easy to make you start
Well,
doubting your own self.
and especially if, like, because, again, like, now this is speculation on everyone's part, but, like, if Brittany was in a mental state because of either postpartum depression, bipolar disorder, drugs, whatever the cause might have been, that makes it so much easier for them to prey on her.
oh yeah,
And that's exactly whether they pushed her to that point, like took advantage of something she was already going through and just kept pushing it in that direction, or they just had great timing and knew when to swoop in on her.
oh, I think this was clearly orchestrated, and I think ultimately the issue is you have a family who got rich very, very quickly
Even
after
her sister,
living
even
a
her
life of
fucking
poverty.
sister.
And they
Fuck her
didn't
sister.
know. They didn't know or understand, so they see a quote unquote good Christian woman, they trust her.
Yep.
No.
Yeah,
And I really hope that they start speaking out about it and start passing the blame, because the true story needs to be out there.
yeah.
The fans have uncovered it. Free Britney has uncovered it.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of truth.
Yep.
But the public needs to know, and things need to start happening, especially because
this needs to
clearly
change laws.
Judge
This
Penny
needs to
not-
change everything.
Yeah, and Judge Penny's not moving her butt. She's not changing anything. She's not doing anything. I get that there's a process, but she didn't push hard enough for it, and instead immediately started talking to Jody's attorneys, saying, "Well, fix the care plan." No, we don't need to fix the care plan. We need to get her out, and we need to start investigating why this happened in the first place.
Yes.
Agreed. And on that note,
yeah,
on that note, we need to end.
We do.
Yeah, hashtag truth. For the love of God. I want to thank Lissa and Kelly so much for joining me tonight, making this Thursday night Two Geek Girls possible. Who knows what the future holds, but I am grateful for tonight. Thank you guys again so much. Thank you everybody who joined us. Thank you everybody in the comment section. Thank you for following along our conversations and our rants and our tea spilling and our fun and our water cooler talks, because it's just a blast.
It is.
And I want to thank everybody. I now want to give everybody a chance to let us know what's happening with you this weekend, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. So, Lissa, Kelly, anything you would like to mention? Go for it.
So you guys will be seeing me at Gen Con this year.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Gen Con is the largest tabletop gaming convention in North America. And I will be there officially with a TTRPG company called Rupture RPG. I will be narrating games over the course of the event, and so I hope to see you guys there.
Congratulations, Lissa. Yay! Yeah. And Kelly? What do you got coming up this weekend? Got some more stuff.
Yeah, crawl space stuff. So apparently I'm being yanked over there at 9:00 on Spider-Man Crawl Space to talk about the new Spider-Man Beyond creative team that's starting after Nick Spencer leaves. There's that. And then tomorrow we are doing Satellites, which is Patreon exclusive, but we will be coming in to say hello for free and answer a few questions. I think probably at 9:00 tomorrow as well. So there is that, and that is basically it. I would be on MCU ATL, but I gotta fix my windshield because someone hit my windshield, and it needs to be replaced.
Sorry.
And
lovely.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. All right. Thank you again, guys. Again, join these ladies as much as you can. Keep up with them. You got Kelly and you got at Geek Girl Lissa and Kelly at is it still Make My Mayday? No.
Yeah, there's Make My Mayday. There's K McDaniel 28. Obviously, you can catch me on Spidey Dude Network and Spider-Man Crawl Space and all of that good stuff. So yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for
I wanna
joining
say,
us.
Live long and prosper, and have a great night.
Bye.